The Last Ark's Return. Prologue, Whispers of Old Earth. The year is 2742. For over 7 centuries, humanity had been adrift. Not aimlessly, but with a purpose encoded in its very being, a directive woven into the fabric of their existence: survival. The Last Ark, a colossal generation ship, was their refuge, their cradle, and their only hope. Within its carefully cultivated biomes, generations had been born, lived, and died, their lives dedicated to maintaining the delicate balance of a miniature Earth. They had never seen the sun, felt rain on their skin, or tasted truly wild air. Their world was a meticulously crafted illusion, a memory of what was lost. Yet, the whispers of old Earth persisted. They were echoes in the data streams, in the history lessons, in the very nomenclature of their existence. The children learned of mountains and oceans, of forests and deserts, of creatures both majestic and terrifying, all rendered in vivid simulations. They learned of the mistakes, the follies, the environmental devastation that had led to the cataclysm. And they learned of the hope, the desperate gamble, the Last Ark, their legacy, and their burden. The cataclysm. Even the name held an ominous weight. A cascade of ecological disasters triggered by unchecked industrialization, culminating in a runaway greenhouse effect and the release of dormant, prehistoric microorganisms that ravaged the planet's biosphere. The air became toxic, the oceans acidic, and the land, a barren wasteland. Humanity, clinging to life in underground bunkers, realized their doom was inevitable. The Last Ark was their Hail Mary, a vessel crammed with the genetic material of humanity and countless other species, launched into the void with a single, desperate prayer: find a new home, or reclaim the old. 700 years. The vast gulf of time had blurred the lines between history and myth. Old Earth was a story, a cautionary tale, a legend whispered in the corridors of the Arkansas. But now, the legend was about to become reality. Part 1, Ghosts of a Lost World. The scout ship, designated Phoenix, detached from the Last Ark, a metallic seed cast into the inky blackness. On board were 5 souls, the vanguard of humanity's potential return. Captain Elias Thorne, a stoic veteran of countless simulations and training exercises, burdened with the responsibility of the mission's success or failure. His face, etched with the weight of expectation, betrayed a weariness that belied his relatively young age. Dr. Eris Thorne, Elias's younger sister, a brilliant xenobiologist driven by an insatiable curiosity and a deep-seated guilt stemming from her family's involvement in the environmental policies that contributed to the cataclysm. Lieutenant Kenji Sato, the ship's pilot and a master of its advanced sensor systems, a man of few words but unwavering loyalty. Dr. Lena Petrova, the team's botanist, carrying the hopes of re-establishing Earth's flora on her shoulders. She was a quiet, observant woman, her heart filled with both trepidation and a longing for the real Earth. Chief Engineer Marcus Bell, a pragmatist and a genius when it came to the Phoenix's intricate life support and propulsion systems. He was the ship's heartbeat, ensuring its survival in the face of the unknown. As the Phoenix hurtled towards Earth, the atmosphere inside the ship grew thick with anticipation. The crew meticulously reviewed their protocols, ran diagnostics, and prepared themselves for the unknown. Simulations could only take them so far. Nothing could truly prepare them for what awaited. The first images of Earth were both breathtaking and terrifying. Gone was the familiar blue marble of old. Instead, the planet was shrouded in swirling, toxic green clouds, pierced by jagged, impossibly tall rock formations that spoke of unimaginable tectonic shifts. Below the cloud cover, glimpses of a landscape painted in alien colors, iridescent purples, fiery oranges, and nauseating yellows, hinted at a world utterly transformed. Atmospheric readings are anomalous, Kenji reported, his voice tight. Toxic compounds are off the charts. Radiation levels are elevated, but shielded. The oxygen-nitrogen ratio is, within acceptable parameters, but something else is dominating the composition. Eris leaned closer to the sensor readings, her brow furrowed. It's some sort of organic compound, heavily modified. It's acting as a catalyst for everything. Elias, his gaze fixed on the swirling chaos outside, spoke with grim determination. Prepare for atmospheric entry. Engage environmental shields and initiate primary filtration systems. The Phoenix pierced the toxic atmosphere, shuddering violently as it passed through turbulent layers of corrosive gases. The ship's shields crackled and flared, battling the hostile environment. Marcus worked tirelessly, monitoring the systems and making constant adjustments to maintain their integrity. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the Phoenix broke through the cloud cover and descended towards a relatively clear patch of land near what was once the Amazon rainforest. The landscape below was unlike anything they had ever imagined. Giant, bioluminescent fungi towered like skyscrapers, casting an eerie glow across the alien terrain. Twisted, thorny vines, thicker than any tree trunk, snaked through the landscape, pulsating with an unnatural energy. Strange, insect-like creatures with iridescent wings flitted through the air, their bodies shimmering with an otherworldly light. "Report," Elias commanded, his voice steady despite the rising tension. Lena, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and horror, was the first to speak. "The flora, it's sentient. Or at least, highly reactive. Their biosignatures are incredibly complex. The air, it's alive," Eris gasped, analyzing the atmospheric samples. "The organic compounds, they're a form of bioengineered virus, adapted to thrive in this environment. They're integrated into the entire ecosystem, controlling and manipulating it." Kenji, his hands flying across the controls, focused on finding a suitable landing site. "I've located a relatively stable area near a dried-up riverbed. But the sensor readings are erratic. There's something large moving beneath the surface." Elias made his decision. "Land the Phoenix, Kenji. We need to assess the situation on the ground. But be ready to take off at a moment's notice." The Phoenix touched down with a gentle thud, its landing gear sinking slightly into the strange, spongy soil. The silence that followed was almost deafening, broken only by the hum of the ship's life support systems and the distant chirps and clicks of unseen creatures. Part 2, The Garden of Aberrations. The crew of the Phoenix donned their environment suits, each equipped with advanced filtration systems, communication devices, and rudimentary defensive weaponry. Stepping out into the alien landscape was like entering a surreal nightmare. The air, even filtered through their suits, carried a strange, metallic tang. The bioluminescent fungi pulsed with an unsettling rhythm, casting long, dancing shadows. The ground beneath their feet was soft and yielding, like walking on a giant sponge. "Stay close," Elias warned, his voice crackling through their comms. "We don't know what's out there." They moved cautiously, their weapons raised, scanning the surroundings. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the rustling of unseen creatures in the dense vegetation. Lena, her eyes glued to the alien flora, was the first to break the silence. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a plant with iridescent, razor-sharp leaves. "It's carnivorous. And it's communicating, chemically. It's signaling to other plants." As they moved deeper into the alien landscape, the strangeness intensified. They encountered plants that mimicked the sounds of animals, flowers that emitted hallucinogenic gases, and vines that seemed to reach out and grab at them. "This is impossible," Eris muttered, her mind struggling to comprehend the sheer scale of the evolutionary adaptations. "This isn't just evolution. It's directed. Someone, or something, guided this." Suddenly, the ground beneath them began to tremble. A low, guttural growl echoed through the air, growing louder with each passing second. Kenji was right, Elias said grimly. Something big is down there. The ground erupted, sending chunks of soil and vegetation flying. Out of the hole emerged a creature that defied description. It was a monstrous hybrid of insect, reptile, and mammal, its body covered in chitinous plates, its reptilian eyes glowing with malevolent intelligence, and its maw filled with rows of razor-sharp teeth. Engage! Elias shouted, raising his weapon. The crew opened fire, their energy weapons blasting holes in the creature's hide. But the creature seemed unfazed, its thick armor easily deflecting the energy blasts. It charged towards them, its massive claws tearing through the vegetation. The crew scattered, dodging the creature's attacks. Lena narrowly avoided being crushed by its massive foot, while Marcus took cover behind a giant, pulsating fungus. Eris, her mind racing, noticed something strange about the creature's behavior. It wasn't attacking randomly. It was targeting them, specifically. It's intelligent, she shouted. It's hunting us. The creature lunged at Elias, its claws extended. Elias dodged the attack, but one of the claws grazed his arm, tearing through his environment suit. Suit breach! Elias yelled, struggling to maintain his composure. I'm losing pressure. Marcus, seeing his captain in danger, drew the creature's attention, firing a barrage of energy blasts at its face. The creature roared in pain, temporarily distracted. Get him back to the ship. Marcus shouted to Eris and Lena. I'll cover you. Eris and Lena rushed to Elias's side, helping him towards the phoenix. Marcus stood his ground, continuing to fire at the creature, buying them precious time. As they reached the ship, Kenji opened the hatch. They helped Elias inside, sealing the hatch behind them. Marcus! Elias yelled over the comms. Get back here now. But Marcus didn't respond. He was still out there, battling the monstrous creature, sacrificing himself to buy them time. Part 3, The Price of Knowledge. Inside the Phoenix, Eris frantically worked to seal the breach in Elias's suit, while Lena administered first aid. Elias, his face pale with pain, watched the monitor, his heart heavy with guilt. We have to go back for him, he said, his voice strained. We can't, Kenji replied, his voice firm. The ship's defenses are compromised. We wouldn't stand a chance against that thing. Elias knew Kenji was right. But the thought of leaving Marcus behind was unbearable. Suddenly, the ground shook again. The creature was attacking the Phoenix, its claws tearing at the ship's hull. We have to get out of here, Kenji said urgently. Prepare for immediate takeoff. Eris and Lena secured themselves in their seats, while Kenji powered up the Phoenix's engines. The ship shuddered violently as the creature continued its assault. With a final roar, the Phoenix blasted off, leaving the monstrous creature behind. As they ascended, they saw Marcus, lying motionless on the ground, his body broken and bleeding. The silence in the Phoenix was deafening. They had escaped, but at a terrible cost. As they left Earth's atmosphere, Elias addressed the crew, his voice filled with grief and determination. Marcus Bell was a hero, he said. He gave his life to protect us, to ensure that we could deliver our report. And what is that report? Lena asked, her voice trembling. What are we going to tell them? Elias looked out at the swirling, toxic clouds below, his face etched with sorrow. We're going to tell them the truth, he said. We're going to tell them that Earth is no longer our home. It has been transformed into something else. Something dangerous. Something beautiful. Eris added, we will tell them that the ecosystem has evolved in ways we never thought possible, but at the cost of humanity's place in it. And we will tell them, Elias continued, that the cataclysm wasn't just a disaster. It was a catalyst. It unleashed something new. Something unexpected. Part 4, The Sentient Planet. Back on the Last Ark, the crew of the Phoenix delivered their report. The news was met with a mixture of shock, disbelief, and despair. The dream of reclaiming Earth was shattered. But amidst the gloom, there was also a glimmer of hope. Eris, driven by her scientific curiosity and a growing sense of responsibility, had been studying the data they had collected. She had discovered something extraordinary. The organic compounds in Earth's atmosphere, she explained, they're not just a virus. They're a form of communication. They're a neural network, connecting all living things on the planet. You're saying Earth is sentient? Elias asked, his brow furrowed. I believe so, Eris replied. The cataclysm triggered a planetary-level transformation. Earth became a single, conscious entity, evolving and adapting to survive. The implications of this discovery were staggering. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a living, breathing organism, with its own thoughts, feelings, and motivations. But if Earth is sentient, Lena asked, why is it so hostile to us? I don't think it's hostile, Eris replied. I think it's indifferent. It's simply protecting itself, maintaining its own ecosystem. We are a threat to its survival. Elias, his mind racing, realized the truth of Eris's words. Humanity had caused the cataclysm, and Earth, in its evolved state, saw them as a danger. It wasn't malice, but self-preservation. So, what do we do? Kenji asked, his voice filled with uncertainty. Do we give up on Earth entirely? Elias looked at his sister, at the hope and determination in her eyes. He knew that they couldn't simply abandon Earth. They had to find a way to coexist, to forge a new relationship with the sentient planet. We don't give up, Elias said, his voice firm. We adapt. We learn. We find a way to live in harmony with Earth, not as its masters, but as its guests. Part 5, A New Dawn. Eris, with the support of the Last Ark's governing council, proposed a radical new plan. Instead of trying to colonize Earth directly, they would focus on understanding its ecosystem and finding a way to integrate themselves into it. They would send unmanned probes to Earth, equipped with advanced sensors and communication devices, to study the planet's neural network. They would learn its language, its rhythms, its needs. The plan was met with resistance. Many on the Last Ark believed it was too dangerous, too risky. They wanted to find a safer, more hospitable planet to colonize. But Elias and Eris, with their unwavering conviction, slowly began to win people over. They argued that Earth was their home, their legacy. They had a responsibility to try to reclaim it, not through force, but through understanding and cooperation. Over the next few decades, the Last Ark launched a series of probes to Earth. The probes sent back a wealth of data, revealing the intricate workings of the planet's neural network. Eris and her team worked tirelessly, deciphering the data, learning the language of the sentient Earth. They discovered that Earth was not a monolithic entity. It was a vast, complex network of interconnected ecosystems, each with its own unique characteristics. They learned that Earth was capable of healing itself, of restoring its damaged environments, but it needed help. They also learned that Earth was aware of their presence, of their intentions. It was watching them, waiting to see if they were truly willing to change. Finally, after years of research and preparation, Eris and her team developed a plan to communicate directly with Earth. They would send a signal, a message of peace and reconciliation, a plea for forgiveness and understanding. The message was carefully crafted, using the language they had learned from the probes. It was a message of humility, of respect, of a desire to live in harmony with Earth. The moment they sent the signal, the Last Ark held its breath. The silence was broken only by the hum of the communication systems. Then, after what seemed like an eternity, a response came. It wasn't a verbal response, not in the traditional sense. It was a shift in the planet's energy field, a ripple in the neural network. It was a feeling, a sense of acknowledgement, a hint of curiosity. Earth had heard them. It was listening. Part 6, The Seed of Harmony. The response from Earth was the beginning of a long and arduous process of negotiation and cooperation. The people of the Last Ark, guided by Eris's expertise and Elias's leadership, slowly began to build a relationship with the sentient planet. They learned to respect Earth's boundaries, to understand its needs, to work with its natural rhythms. They developed new technologies that were environmentally friendly, that mimicked the planet's own processes, that helped to restore its damaged ecosystems. They began to introduce modified versions of themselves back to Earth by first understanding how their biology interacted with the current ecosystem. Dr. Eris had discovered that while Earth was indifferent, the sentience was designed to defend. The ecosystem acted like white blood cells that would attack anything foreign. With the correct application of gene therapy, they began to alter themselves to be more in line with the current sentience running the Earth. It was a delicate balance. Too much and the white blood cells would attack itself. In time, as humans began to adapt, they carefully seeded life from the Ark back to Earth. First smaller creatures with a focus on species that were now extinct. With the help of the sentience of the planet, they began to nurture the seeds of life, and began the long process of slowly taking back the Earth. Slowly, painstakingly, humanity began to reclaim its lost home. They built small, sustainable communities in carefully chosen locations, working in harmony with the sentient planet. They learned to live in the wild, to hunt and gather, to respect the power and beauty of nature. The Last Ark remained in orbit around Earth, serving as a repository of knowledge and technology, a reminder of the past and a beacon of hope for the future. Generations passed. The people of Earth and the people of the Last Ark evolved, both physically and spiritually. They became something new, something different, something better. They learned to live in peace, not just with each other, but with the planet itself. They became stewards of Earth, protectors of its delicate ecosystems, guardians of its sentient consciousness. Epilogue, The Whispers of a Living Earth. Centuries later, the line between Earth and the Last Ark blurred. The people of Earth had built a new civilization, one that was based on respect, sustainability, and harmony. The Last Ark, its mission fulfilled, was decommissioned, its materials used to build new homes on Earth. The whispers of old Earth still persisted, but now they were whispers of hope, of resilience, of the transformative power of nature. They were whispers of a world reborn, a world healed, a world united. The sentient Earth thrived, its consciousness expanding, its ecosystems flourishing. It watched over its human children, guiding them, protecting them, nurturing them. And humanity, in turn, honored the sentient Earth, celebrating its beauty, respecting its power, and cherishing its wisdom. The Last Ark's return had been a journey of heartbreak and sacrifice, of discovery and transformation. It had been a journey that had led humanity back to its roots, back to its home, back to itself. The Earth was alive. And humanity, finally, was truly home. Wanderer of worlds, if you enjoyed this tale, hit like, share, and subscribe. Each gesture weaves a stronger nexus. Until our paths cross again, let your curiosity guide you forward.